What is up, everybody? Welcome back. It is Thursday night. Thursday night means one thing. It is time. It is time for some dock talk. We have a new esteemed panel of Jackson Kayak anglers in the house tonight. Some you seem to force, some you have not. Some we're getting to know. So with that being said, let's pick one of the new ones to go first. Vickie. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, and what kind of Jackson kayak you are paddling or pedaling this year.
All right. Yeah. Vickie, I am from Texas. Do a lot of the KBF state tournaments or the challenges. I actually pick up my Coosa FD Saturday, and I'm so excited to get it going, get it rigged up.
That'll be a great boat. You'll love it.
Super excited.
Proceed. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, that's all right. I'm like, that's really
keep going.
Just
Texas. Coosa FD coming.
Yeah.
Mr. Jim Ware. A little bit about you, where you hail from, and what kind of Jackson you're pedaling.
Okay, I'm Jim Ware. I'm from Rome, Georgia, and I have a Blue Sky 360 Pro that I've fell in love with doing these motorized tournaments. I can't imagine anything much more roomy, stable, efficient for me. And I'm getting older, and it's super comfortable. So I have that. I also have a Yupik that I'll float local rivers around here with. And I have a NAR also that I'll use in Hobie tournaments. I fish a good many tournaments, mostly so far this year, Bassmaster, and then some local stuff. As a matter of fact, Saturday I'm fishing a tournament on my favorite local lake, or Georgia lake. It's not local, but yeah, it's those fish and like to travel, like to combine fishing trips with, travel and look for neat places out of the way, family owned or whatever, hole in the wall, whatever you want to call it, restaurants to eat at, and just try to immerse in local culture while I'm there.
We'll have to talk about them restaurants here short order. Speaking of restaurants, the chef is in the house tonight. Mr. Lance McWhorter. Tell us a little bit about you, where you hail from, and what kind of Jackson kayak is behind you.
Oh, hey, everybody. I am Lance McWhorter. I am the craziest member of the Jackson Kayak family. I am a chef, a restaurant bar owner, soon to be a kayak shop owner, opening up ETX Paddle Sports here in Tyler, Texas. I do the Bassmaster Kayak Series, just got home from the championship, the Hobie Bass Open Series, any locals that I can get into. So I am always traveling, always going. The last 6 weeks, I think I spent 5 of them on the road. I have been in a NAR FD that I'm absolutely in love with. It's such a cool platform. But when I was up there in Chickamauga for the Bassmaster Kayak Series Championship, I went up to Sparta and picked up this. So brand new 23 Coosa X, and I've got it in the lab here, and I am rigging it all out and going to try and get it on the water this weekend. And it will be with me at Lake Hartwell next week for the Bassmaster Kayak Series. So anybody wants to check it out, get with me.
Very nice, very nice. Now, as you have met the esteemed panel, you guys know in the audience we've got the comments flowing. We can see all the comments as they come in. So you guys can also ask us questions. The guests can ask each other questions. We're just having a good old fashioned talk about fishing. That's what we're here to do tonight. If we educate somebody about fishing, if somebody gets uneducated about fishing, we done something. We do have one question from the audience already from Camille. What part of Texas, and this came through when Vickie was introducing herself. So what part of Texas are you from?
I'm North Texas. I'm north of Dallas, right 2 miles from Lake Levon. So that's like, I'm out there pretty much every weekend when I can be.
There you go. Very nice. You got these guys, they comment so fast, it's hard to keep up with them a lot of times.
Right.
So everybody got planned. Vickie, what's your big plan? What's your big move for 2023? What do you have in the hopper?
I want to do more tournament type stuff. I started with the challenge series just to ease my way in. So I think get really familiar with tournaments, kayak, the fishing, and then use 2023 as a jumping off for tournaments. And
that'll be good. And that's a great way to introduce yourself to kayak fishing is the online stuff when you're kind of getting used to putting the fish on the board and stuff like that. I mean, you feel like that was a great stepping stone before you actually move into maybe some of the more live events?
Yeah, I think so. Because, you have the whole month. If you mess up a picture, you're not, it's not that one day tournament like, oh man, that, but you do have more time to kind of fix it. And yeah, so it's been fun so far. I started in January, so we'll see.
I would agree with that. I think that's a good way for anybody to start out and kind of get some of those anxieties of holding those fish on the board, just kind of figuring it out. And, us early guys that had to do it, back when we had to take pictures with our phones and write it down on a scorecard. And
right.
Those were the good times, though.
Right.
They were.
Yep. That was that live judging, all that stuff. That was fun.
It was. And it was, I think, the best part, Vickie, about getting out there and doing some of the lives is you're going to meet that community of people that is in your area, and that'll be huge. You'll love it. There's a lot of good people out there.
And you've got some great people in your area for sure. Duke and all the North Texas Kayak Championship people. We've got the new USA Bassin Trail that I'm TDing out here, so I know we've got some events that are going to be up your way and pretty close by. There's some great North Texas, East Texas, all within that short little, hour and a half, hour drive. I mean, you've got there's a lot of people around, or even if you just want to go out and go fishing and get the pointers. And I mean, just get practice with the board and the camera, even when you're fun fishing, that's a huge help.
Yeah. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. The new USA Bassin JK trail it's definitely taken off pretty good. You guys had a pretty good turnout down in Texas, actually, for your first time.
It was great. I mean, we teamed up actually with, speaking of Duke and North Texas Kayak Championship, we teamed up with them on Eagle Mountain and Lake Worth, which are both two absolute crazy lakes. I think it was a couple of years ago. It was one of my first national tournaments. First one that I pulled to check in was the day that it was 112, 110, and I think 109. Like it was the biggest bags in like the history of the sport. I think it was Guillermo and Matt Scotch, and I think it was Jody, or I think it was Jody Queen. Yeah, but it was just insane lake. But yeah, we had a bunch of people show up. It was just a good time. It was a little tough fishing. It was a little thin. It was kind of that post frontal, but some people caught some great fish, and we had some really cool trophies that got delivered out to them. And I mean, we're looking forward to the next one. It's going to be this weekend on Lake of the Pines.
Yep.
And Vickie, if you've never been out in East Texas, man, you got to let me know. You come on out and we'll put you on some great lakes. Lake of the Pines is out there by Avenger, kind of Jefferson, almost to the Louisiana border, but it's a beautiful lake, great fishery, absolutely huge fish. We've got a bunch of people signed up already. We're kind of in a cold snap right now.
We hate that for you
Oh
Texans.
man, yeah. Hey, I just suffered through some of that Tennessee weather, during the Bass Championship. That was icing up guides and 40 degrees and sitting in
That's
rain all
shorts
day.
weather.
Yeah, it's I mean I'm in shorts, but I'm suffering. I'm definitely suffering. It's raining, but it looks like Saturday it's going to start kind of a warming trend, so that ought to wake those fish up. Slight chance of showers, but nothing crazy, low wind. So I think it's going to be a really good day.
I'm looking forward to seeing the results on that one.
Yeah, I've never been out there. I'm all for it.
It's awesome. If you're just north of Dallas, I'm probably an hour and a half, 2 hours from you. So it's, come out for the weekend and we'll hit some lakes in the middle or Lake Fork or, something like that. Go catch some big ones.
The Texas kayak community, the Texas Jackson kayak community has really grown quite well over the last few years. Dustin, Lance, and others have done a really great job about bringing new lifeblood onto the team from Texas. And you guys do. Everybody's friends down there working events and hanging out. Vickie, you're going to have the time of your life with these guys as the noob.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun.
After we get through your initial hazing period.
Okay.
Can't tell you what goes on there. Jim will tell you.
I was stationed in go ahead.
No, you proceed.
No, I was going to tell Lance. I was stationed at Carswell Air Force Base there on that Lake Worth, right? One at borders that now it's a National Guard base. All I ever did was fish off the bank and caught little ones. And when I saw that tournament, those guys turned in those big bags. I was like, holy crap,
It was insane.
So
that was just
perfect
recipe for big fish that day. It was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of big fish, enough with you Texans. I want to talk
and some really good sticks too.
I want to talk to Jim about smallmouth.
Yes, I love the smallmouth.
The smallmouth. What?
Okay.
You're kind of roaming around there between the Dale Hollow Lake and everything south of there. Which lake are you digging the best smallmouth fishing in that area?
In December, I love going to Dale Hollow. And I've only got it's like 2 spots, and they're all. Right. And when I go up there in December, they're there. And that lake's covered up with old road beds and building foundations and all that. And they're in about 18 feet of water, and they were just stacked up. The last time I was up there. So.
And they're a handful.
Yeah, I like Dale Hollow. There's oh God, yeah, they fight like crazy, and but yeah, the some of the Tennessee River tail races, at times it'll just get stupid, and everybody knows about Wilson Dam and Wheeler Dam, so yeah, I go over and mess around over there some. Here in Georgia, it's Alabama bass. That's largemouth, but Holland Reservoirs where I live up in North Georgia, and there's 3 lakes that are in the Tennessee River drainage that had traditionally had smallmouth in them, but the spots have pretty much pushed them out. So we basically have we got a really good spotted bass fishery in the northern part of the state. Lake Lanier North. Tournament Saturday is on Lake Burton, and it's 40. I think right now it's like 82 degrees. Nice weather today. Saturday it's going to be 45 and pouring down rain. We have a Peach State Kayak Anglers tournament up on Lake Burton, which is the home of the state record spot here in Georgia. That was 8 pound 2 ounces. They stock trout in that lake, and it's just a recipe: blueback herring and trout, and it's small enough that you can cover it in a kayak pretty well. It's like 1,800 acres, so it's not a big lake. but there's some gigantic spots and largemouth in the lake.
Right on. Now,
So
everybody
know,
obviously has some different kayaks in this group. Jim, you are the one, you're kind of the champion of the blue sky right now. Why don't you tell folks at home some of the benefits that you're seeing from the blue sky and what it has to offer that's made it such a special boat for you this year?
okay. First off, the high seat is it's basically a bass boat seat. You're sitting up. You're not cramped. You can move. You can twist around. The deck is it's not as stable as a bass boat, but it's as stable as any small bass boat that I've been on. I can easily walk around, kneel, pick a fish up, get around to the back side of the seat, do whatever I need to on it. One thing with a traditional kayak that I like to fish offshore, so spot lock or pinpoint GPS has always intrigued me, but I was afraid that if I put one of the bow mount trolling motor on a traditional kayak that I would eventually lose a fish in my life on the front. Because just about every big bass I've ever caught out of a regular kayak, the rod's bent and you just barely clear the bow of the boat when it goes from one side to the other. So I was always hesitant of spending the money on a bow mount trolling motor to put on that. With the blue sky, it's actually recessed a little bit behind the pontoons, and it's no problem to stand up and fight a fish around the front. Matter of fact, I stand up probably 80% of the time, even in high winds, and fish if I'm offshore. I can throw a rig, I can throw a big scrounger, I can throw big swim baits, heavy jig. I mean, you name it, double hand casting. I don't have it's just been a huge benefit to me for the style of fishing that I like to do, which is offshore stuff. If I'll go where the fish are at, but if I can find something off the bank, I'm going to be out there.
There you go.
It's not the fastest boat in the world, but it makes up for it. And I've got I think it's the Yakima E. I forget the name of the trailer I have. It's not the. Anyway, it's perfectly. The boat fits perfect on there, and I actually push it off, back it into the water. I decked it with some plywood and carpet, the trailer, so the boat sits on that. I walk the tongue out, slide the boat off into the water with a trolling motor engaged, and I remote drive it over to the dock, go park, hit spot lock, go park, and come back and hop on my boat, and then I drive it back up to the trailer when I'm loading it and pull it on. I mean, it works wonders for me. I hadn't given me any luck in tournaments yet. I can catch them outside of a tournament. I go to a tournament, I bomb, but it'll happen.
It'll happen. You'll be back in your winning ways before too long, I got a feeling. Mm-hmm. So talking about tournaments and boats and all that kind of fun stuff, one of the conversations that we've never really had on Dock Talk, and I'll let you guys kind of ask this to each other as well and kind of get technical with as many questions as you guys want to on each other. Let's talk about some fishing line. What are you guys using? I mean, all these tournaments and different things, and what's your ideal go-to setup, rod, reel, line? Whoever wants to take off.
I run straight fluorocarbon, 17 pound. My jig rod's got 20 on it, and I haven't had a problem catching fish in clear water with that. And matter of fact, the lake I'm fishing Saturday is crystal clear, and I'll 15 to 17 dragging a jig. I don't have a problem catching a fish up there. And I'll drop shot. I have 10-pound braid, and I'll put a 6-pound drop shot leader, fluoro leader on it. Sunline's what I've been using, and Power Pro. But and then fishing around grass, I fish straight braid. Go to Florida, I load them up with straight braid, heavy as I can get away. 65 for punching, and then 40 for anything else. So I don't get too light on the line except for like drop shot.
Very fair, very fair. What about the rest of you? Oh, Steve Carroll's
I kind
got
of
a
run.
quick question here, real quick. Steve, it is actually 48 inches. Proceed back to said podcast. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of, the water I fish in varies so much traveling around. You got that kind of dirty, full of wood to clear and rocks and whatever. So I try to figure out how to keep as little amount of line on hand, because you're driving around with your tackle store. So I found myself kind of having more reels. It's like I kind of bought a bunch of extra reels and I'll keep them spooled in different things. But I mean, Workhorse is definitely. I've been using P-Line a lot lately. Both their blue and their tactical fluorocarbon's really good. Workhorse is probably like 14. Cranking, I've been messing around with like Sunline's Crank FC in 12 to 14. Trying to learn that offshore cranking thing. It's a totally new thing to me. I'm trying to learn the offshore stuff so I can go out there and fish with Jim. And flipping around grass. I usually flip with 50-pound fins, pitch black wind tamer braid. It's really smooth, really tight line. It casts a mile. It's super tough. You don't have to keep coloring it. If I'm around wood, 20-pound fluoro. Sometimes when I'm fishing Texas rigs, like when we were just out at Caddo, I'll do a braid to leader, just so I can get a little bit tough, but I have enough leader to keep me off the wood because that braid will bite down into the wood. So I'll use that 50 or 30-pound braid to like 15-pound fluoro. Spinning rods, I do 12-pound braid to usually 12-pound fluoro. Unless drop shots, then I'm just
Nice. I do a lot of braid. I do some fluoro, but I'm really stuck on my 20-pound braid. I don't have a reason. I just love it.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, throwing moving baits, I don't have.
I was saying, I gotta
Okay,
give a shout to Half Cent, Jacob Penny, because when we were out doing one of the JK events down there in Houston, he and I were having a cast throwing frogs across, like they had the little rental bay down there where they had the whole fleet of rental kayaks, and all the JK team was surrounded around the whole area. And it was hot, and we were kind of, restless a little bit in the middle of the day when everybody was actually out on the water. So
All right. Question from the audience, Mr. Steve Carroll, back in the comments. What is your go-to technique for power fishing through clear water? Clear water has always been difficult for me to dissect. What do you do to cover the most amount of water to eliminate unproductive water?
good question.
That is a great question. Panel?
I just keep going.
When it comes to like these Highland reservoirs, right? We keep a bait in the water, but man, a ball head jig with a Kayak on it is deadly, and where I fish at in these clear water lakes, I'll throw that thing all day. That and power fishing, a wobble head jig, half ounce, 3/4, however, depending on how deep you're fishing. You can work that thing like a crankbait, just maintaining contact with the bottom, and you can reel it pretty the heavier you go, the faster you can reel it, depending on how much, how they're biting. But mainly a half or 3/4 what I'm using. But I can cover a lot of water throwing a daggum wobble head with a creature bait on it and a paddle tail Kayak on a 1/4 ounce or 3/8 ounce ball head jig from Picasso Lures.
There you go. Anybody else?
I mean, when I'm covering and kind of breaking down new lakes, it's like I'm kind of always on the Newport, covered a lot of ground and just go and try different areas, and different types of structure. And I've yet to learn to convert like a good practice bite into a good tournament bite, but it's like I'm learning. And the biggest thing that I've learned is to keep moving. I mean, just you roll into an area and it looks so perfect and it looks so. And it looks like, I think that there should be a fish on every single thing in that little cut. It's like you need to stop and fish it like it's 2 hours left in the tournament. You're trying to break it down. Caddo, I covered 22.5 miles one day. With the K180, just cruising. And I'd run to an area real fast and kind of pick apart a little bit, kind of figure it out. Run to another one, try and figure it out, run to another one, just kind of tried to look on the graph and look at where winds affect things, try and sample every little bit, and then kind of keep tracks. I started really taking notes in the notepad on my phone, like during practice sessions. And that's really helped a lot. Like, 'cause it's kind of like you roll into an area and you're like, oh, I remember I caught a fish here, but what was I throwing? Was I throwing a crank? Was I throwing a plastic? So it's like I really started taking and that's really helped me kind of learn how to practice a little bit better.
I think for me to chime in on that, I do a lot of, especially this time of year, when everything in my area is starting to move towards the spawn, I'm always looking to the north here in Indiana, because that's like my area that's going to warm up first. I look for rock, I look for the channel, and I look to the north, because a lot of times those fish are going to migrate that way. So once I do that, then I could kind of start picking out different points and different channel swings and things where I know that those fish are going to go. Then you're kind of getting on Google Earth looking for rocky bottoms, lots of stumps where that they're going to gravitate to go spawn. And I think, for me, that's kind of how I start my process of breaking down something new, especially if I know it's clear water. A lot of times you can tell on Google Earth, you can see big rock, whatever. You can find grassy patches, different things like that to get in there. But like Jim said, I mean, you just kind of cover, well, you both said you're just going to cover a lot of water really at the end of the day. I mean, it's harder to find them grouped up sometimes on bodies of water like that, depending on, like Indiana, for example, we don't have like the Tennessee River where you get flow. We have big ponds, so to speak. So these fish will spread out more than they will on other bodies of water. So you may be flipping, you may catch one off this tree, you may catch one off another tree 20 yards down the way. But, it's just, you keep moving, you keep throwing that crankbait, spinnerbait, chatterbait, wobblehead, swim bait until you find that juicy spot. And once you find it, you can kind of mark it, lock in on it if you got spot lock or whatever, and just kind of hammer down on it.
Yeah, map study is huge too. Just cutting down time. I'm a map junkie anyway, but look at an avionics map on my phone and a lake I'm going to, picking out, like you said, a saddle or a tapering point, knowing what they're doing that time of the year, what the bait's possibly doing. They're going to, trying to put it all together before you get there. And then I love it, when you go and they're where you thought they were going to be. That's like jackpot, that's, but map study and cuts a huge portion of my search time down.
something I have done if I'm going to somewhere very new and I know that I don't have time to practice much, or I know that I'm a short window and I've never seen this body of water before, I will pay for the fish brain app for a month. Usually get it
Yeah.
free. Look for clusters. A lot of times you can take that app, you can get out there. If you've never been there before, you can find clusters where people have caught fish and marked them. Then once you find that cluster, you can get on, like Jim said, Navionics, or grab you a paper map or Google Earth, and then you can view kind of what's in that
What
area.
they're
You can,
at.
yeah, you can see those channel swings, or if it's on a point, a long tapering point, or whatever it is, you can kind of dissect the two together. And you know, by the amount of clusters and that structure on the map, that you probably stand a pretty good chance of catching something if you head to that area.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Heck, Bassmaster, you watch the elites on TV or the classic, and anybody says they don't do this, they're lying. They show you the Google Earth of the lake, and here's where Stetson Bennett's sitting at. I'm going to pull my map out, and I'm going to see what's he doing out. Why is he 200 yards offshore out there? And there's that's an easy. It's not easy, but it'll get you close. Seeing those pros, that'll help you out.
Well, it's I mean, I think to double up on that is I mean, just spending a lot of time if you're going to fish tournaments, or if you're going to invest in like a vacation to one of your bucket list lakes, like go to Gunnersville or something like that, for instance. On YouTube, there's so much video, there is so much stuff that you can go through, and just watch, just learn the history, like where are people repeatedly winning from, where are people repeatedly not. It's kind of a lot of us that are new to tournament fishing. I mean, I've only been doing it 3 years, so it's you're going up against these people that have been fishing tournaments for 10, 12, 15 years. So you gotta kind of take every edge that you can get, and really going back and kind of searching through those videos and find a couple of weeks before I leave. I mean, I'll be on YouTube sitting on the couch half the day, just kind of sitting there, or whenever I'm working, if I'm at the restaurant prepping, or if I'm doing whatever, I'll literally have my phone up and be watching, MLFs. I think is a really good one that I watch a lot. I enjoy the format of Bassmaster better, but you can really watch in real time conditions as the day goes on, as changes, frontal, prefrontal, post frontal, like watching them make those adjustments on the water and seeing like some of those key baits, because they're not quite as stealthy with them as a lot of the Bassmaster guys are on day one, day two. They're kind of ducking baits like this and like kind of going, so you can kind of really get a good idea of what they're doing, because you get that catch to weigh to release. So that helps a lot. And it's just really anything that you can look at to build your confidence and to build your familiarity and kind of just get I mean, like Navionics is great. Hummingbirds. Their app was Fish. I don't remember what it was called. Fish Smart or something like that. That app was incredible. You could go in and you could buy maps, and the mapping was insane. But they discontinued it. I have no idea why. It's like all the maps that you've bought you can keep, but you can't get any more new maps. But just really put in time. I mean, it's just and find those features and find those areas, and just find what other people have done, and then just go out there and move between them.
I'm learning to look at the maps more. I've done a lot of the YouTube, like you said. I do watch. Okay, well, this is what worked. This seems to be the area that they're in. I have been doing the Google Earth, but the Navionics, that's probably a good one to explore.
The Lorena
C-map, yeah.
Sign up for it. It's got really good mapping in it. You can do one of the other things the Lowrance app, you can do it now. The Hummingbird app, you could, but you can go in there that your deck pallets and then you can just adjust it. Going in there, you can adjust for the water level. If it's down, like Chickamauga was down like 7 feet, you can go in there and you can offset that, and it kind of keeps your color code the same. Right. But then when you ID, okay, they're biting in 7 foot of water, you can go in there and you can set your shading to 6 to 8 feet, and you can look at that whole band run around the lake, and you can find those areas like as they relate, like Jim said, to a key point or a saddle or whatever, or a creek bed or a road, something like that. And you can go in and you can see where those depth levels meet up with it, and kind of focus on those.
Another quick thing I like about CMAP is the CMAP app. You can actually go in and get wind direction for the day. So if like Saturday, I'm planning on going out, I know I'm going to have an east wind. So it gives me a little bit of an option to play that wind. I can kind of plan in advance for the direction that the wind's going to blow. So that is one thing I do like about the CMAP.
That's huge.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's
awesome.
The color coding, like at Gunnersville, we have a tournament. Bassmaster was over there, a kayak series. The first thing I did was saw where the grass cut, the depth, where the grass cut off. And I went back and I changed my depth shading to green from, I think it was 10 foot and boom, when you look at the map, you see where probably grass is everywhere on the lake, if they haven't sprayed. And you can see these neat little points and where channel bends butt right up next to a shallower grass plat. And unfortunately, I found out late on day 2 where some fish were, but anyway, it's a huge tool, that color shading is.
Okay, question from the audience from one Adam Frazier. What is your favorite smallmouth river fishing presentation? Power fishing or finesse fishing or power fishing?
Susquehanna River, rolling fast. I mean, it's so much fun. We did the Hobie Bass Open Series there last year. I was in my Liska, which is retiring now to this guy, but man, I was running my Liska, and I'd get right past where it would shallow up in like a little rock shoal and spin around and kind of get in that little eddy pocket and just throw, just start power fishing, either chatterbaits or crankbaits, right in the back of those little pockets. And just those Susky smallmouth are so psychotic and strong, and just they're so much fun to catch. But that was my first time ever fishing river smallmouth, and I cannot wait to go back up there for Bassmaster this year.
Yeah. I haven't fished Susquehanna, but I don't even know the real name of the river or creek or whatever. It's up close to Sparta. Me and Matt Cunningham's fished it a couple times, and we call it Dead Armadillo Creek. And there's some big old smallmouth in this thing. And so I've had more fun on moving water, minus I've caught more smallmouth probably there than if you omit Tennessee River. If you get up in the riverine portions of Wheeler and Wilson, that it gets. I wouldn't say that's river fishing, but yeah, this Dead Armadillo Creek and outside of Sparta, Tennessee, is pretty dang good.
I think for me, I'd have to say, to kind of go back and answer finesse or power fishing on the river. I'm a mix. I like to take the junk. Our river in Indiana, White River, where I fish, a lot of times on my end of White River, we're flipping junk. It's a little bit deeper stretch, a lot more laydowns, a lot more stuff than what the guys up in Indianapolis have. So we'll flip a lot of, we flip a Ned rig like it's a freaking, brush hog or something. We'll do a lot of that kind of stuff. So, and then, chatterbait, spinnerbait. How do you hate that on the river? I mean, there ain't nothing better than catching something like that. We lost Jim. Jim fell off. Bye, Jim. So yeah, I think as far as techniques on the river, it's a mix. It's whatever they're hitting. If they want to bite a moving bait, heck yeah, that's even better. If they want to bite a finesse feature bait, then you got to throw it. I hate the net rig, but I throw it. Don't judge me.
I'm back.
You're back. Lance is saying something, but I can't hear a word he's saying. I see his mouth moving. He's like, anybody else hear him? And nope. No. It's a great conversation he's having with himself, though. What do you think he's saying? Comment in the captions below what you think Lance is saying right now. I don't even think he can hear
If this guy orders a well done steak one more time, I'll go drop kick you. Anyway, you say it.
Exactly.
He can't hear us either. That's the beautiful thing. Like, he is still full go.
It's going.
Yeah. Still go. One of the comments just come in. Jim has great hair. What is your secret, Jim?
She has great hair too. It's genetic. That's my daughter. Yeah, we got Ware hair. That's what we call it.
Ware hair. I like it.
Yeah, I got this poking around the backside here. But yeah,
Steve's being hard on us tonight. He's heard a lot of people talking about the new Mark IV drive is faster than the previous drives. How much of a difference is it really, and why should I consider upgrading my older kayaks like the Big Rig FD to a new drive? I'm on the fence about upgrading. Has anyone done the swap and noticed a difference in the older boats? Yes. So yeah. I tested the Mark IV in the Bite FD at the factory before the Mark IV came out, and Jameson and I actually did a speed test in the Bite FD. Increased speed by, depending on who was in the boat, anywhere from a half mile an hour to a mile per hour, and smoothness is night and day. That's what I will say. Anybody else wants to answer that, go right ahead.
I will second that. It's quieter, it's smoother, and it's pretty. The gnar I have is, I mean, I can get that sucker up, or pushing 5. I can't hold it, but it's fast, and it's quicker. Like from the hole, because I had a Big Rig FD, 2 of them, and a Coosa FD, and the gnar just is faster than those boats.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, it is. The gnar is the fastest boat we've produced by far. I have not put it in a Big Rig. I would like to. I'd like to see how fast it'll go. I don't know if it'll outrun the gnar. It does have a wider surface area, so it sits higher in the water. So I don't know if it would or not. But it should scoot a Big Rig along pretty well, I would think.
I've got a buddy who has he had the Big Rig HD, but the new drive came out and he's just changed over it. But he hadn't tried it out. He just got it a couple months ago, and Works had us strapped down. But I wait. I can't wait. I'll fish with him sooner or later, and I'll get in his boat and try it out and see, what it's like.
I think, Jim, you're a good person to testify this. You've been here with Jackson since drive number 1 came out the door, and the difference is monumental.
It is. It is. That's perfect word to use.
I think anybody that's interested in upgrading, if you've got an old drive and you've not felt the new drive, and this is not a sales pitch to anybody, and Steve, we know that you're on the team. I it's not a sales pitch. I hands down after trying it, I would buy the drive at 100% retail price today. It's that big of a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Night and day, Jesse's thing. Hey, Lance, are you there?
Hey, Lance.
Oh yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we was
cool.
we was watching you have a great conversation with yourself, and we was like trying to get trying to get everybody in the comments to caption it.
I lost all audio, so I couldn't hear you, and
it was great.
All right.
Well, we're talking about the Mark IV drive. What do you got to say?
Oh my God, Mark IV. Having been through, other iterations of the drive that, I was never mad at. It's like the Mark IV was just such a night and day difference. It's like it was familiar, but it's just the performance of it was such a step up. Like Richard Penny brought out one of the NARS out to Gunnersville last year, and we went out and ran it around, and I put up a video on YouTube about it, and it's just that first push that I did on that pedal, you could feel that boat just
Yep.
And it's just it is such a miraculous change to an already cool concept. It's like they finally the engineers at Jackson just finally nailed it. It's just I took it to Florida this year for the Hobie Bass Open Series, which is pedal or pedal only. So I was running it in grass, like thick grass, and I ran it in eelgrass. It's powerful. I mean, it's one of those that you don't even need to. It's got enough power, like where they kicked up the ratio, So it's like if you get some grass on the prop, if you just give it a quick like kind of little back and forth, it clears itself, because you've got that mechanical advantage now, and it's just absolutely phenomenal.
Good wording. And the best comment that came in while you were talking to yourself was everybody gets free steaks and beer at his restaurant.
I don't know about that. I have expensive steaks, man. I'll give you some chips.
Free chips. All you can eat chips.
They're homemade.
So with that, let's see. We've covered up. Question. Weighs 140 pounds, 1.5 mile an hour, faster than his previous kayak, which was 11.5, 87 pounds. Mark IV drive is a rocket. Yes, we will agree. Certified. So yeah, you guys got any questions for each other? We're here in the last 10 minutes. It's time for the griller section. Grill each other.
Well, I will say that this will be my first pedal drive that I pick up on Saturday. And after hearing this, I'm super excited. Like I'm going to go out on the water as soon as I pick it up.
You're going to love it. It is.
You'll love it.
Yeah. And then after that, I mean, once you get used to pedals and you get used to maneuvering the boat around, and then you really kind of dive into it, and then you get your first motor, then you're going to go, oh my God, this is completely better. I love pedaling around.
You'll relearn boat positioning a little bit, Vickie.
Absolutely.
Like when you first got your paddle, you kind of have to learn to let the wind be your friend and use the wind as your trolling motor and steer with the paddle.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have some different drift and the pedal drives and doing some different things, and you'll eventually learn how to pump it and hold yourself in a spot and utilize the steering. So there is a little bit of a learning curve when you switch to the pedal drive, but you'll love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
You'll love it.
I still use the paddle a lot, even in the NAR. It's such a big boat. Mine's rigged. It's got, everything on it. And I'll pull into, if it's a small spot, or like if I'm in Caddo and I'm a bunch of trees or what have you. There we go. Now I'm going to drop the microphone. But technical difficulties. Right back. Yeah. So it's just getting in there and still being able to, and my point was going to be is that's what's great about Jackson's is they all paddle so well. So even a huge boat like the Nar or a medium-sized boat like the Coosa, it's like you're going to be able to get to where you're going fast, and then stop, be real stealthy with that paddle, and still be able to move such a big boat around with ease.
And Vickie, I think you'll like how the Coosa FD paddles.
Okay.
It's actually a really great paddling boat, just like the Nar. Like it scoots along just as well underneath paddle power as it does the pedal power, which is really one of the most impressive things. And you talk to a lot of these guys after some time, like the Coosa FD to me it's that great middle boat. Like there's a lot of places on the river that I would take a Coosa FD that I would not take my Bite FD. Just for the simple fact that, when you look at the bottom of the Coosa FD, it's flat on the bottom, whereas the Nar and the Bite have that little bit of a fin for trackability that comes down. The Coosa FD doesn't have that, so you can run that dude like right across the top of the rocks, which is awesome. It really is. And it's still, like, hands down, one of my favorite, most fishy boats that I've owned.
For sure. I love the Coosa.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have another one tomorrow. I would give up my Bite FD for a Coosa FD today if somebody called me and said, I trade it.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
There's a reason that the Coosa platform has been around for as long as it has. It's the boat. It's the all around boat, and it's you're gonna flip when you get into that thing. I mean flip like in a good way, not in flip over into the water, but I mean you're gonna just kind of you're gonna freak out how cool that boat is.
It really
I'm
is.
really excited.
Cool. We had one question. There it is. What is the roughest water/weather experience you have encountered?
Speaking of pedaling, Hobie Bass Open Series last February, Toledo Bend. All boat tournaments were canceled due to weather. We had 30+ mile an hour winds. It was about 20 degrees, 20 or 25. It was right around there. We had just come off of Lake Fork breaking ice in the kayaks a couple weeks before, which I thought was going to be the worst. But make your play early before the waves and weather kicks up. So I ran about 3 miles. I was in my big rig FD with the previous flex drive. Pedaled. It was like probably 3.5 miles. Ran out there real quick, wearing a full striker eye suit. Run out to this point and was fishing in about 25, 30 feet of water, and thought I'd beat the weather, and then the weather rolled in right as I was getting there, and it was 4+ foot rollers coming in out of the north, running all the way down that lake, and it was sketchy and it was scary, and it was kind of like when you get to fishing and you actually hook into one, it was kind of like you'd forget for a second, and just being like Chad said, like learning how to pump the pedals and move the boat and keep it into the waves while you're thinking over here and working a fish, or that was scary, but at the same time, it really taught me that my boat can handle just about anything that you throw at it. It's I had a lot more confidence after coming off the water. I mean, although it was a miserably cold and just very tough condition day, when I came off the water, I haven't been sketched out by a lot of things on the water since. So it's kind of one of those: go out, be safe, know your limitations, push them a little if you want to. But there were some people in some other boats that went over that day, and that was a bad day to go over.
I've been out when it's super cold, windy, but probably the roughest water was on the Atlantic side. I'd launched from the beach. I'd went out about 2 miles, and all of a sudden there's waves. I mean, it just got rough. And I was coming in, and I mean, these things, like, it felt like you're on top of the world. You'd come up and you'd go down and you'd surf down. I didn't flip, but that was probably the sketchiest. I had to pry the seat off of me when I got it, popped out. It was pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
Especially worrying you're going to lose all your equipment. That was one flip, and but yeah, that was pretty dang sketchy. I didn't look at the weather that day, and that's a rookie mistake I won't ever make again.
I think Barkley's the scariest place I've ever been when it's super windy, because it's so shallow through most of Lake Barkley. That place really gets up and rips.
Right.
Yeah, that's my come to Jesus moment.
It's scary, man. I mean, it's like, yeah, you get into those situations where you're kind of like either back up a little cut, like around a lot of kind of like seawall type of boat docks, or something like that, where you've got wind, and then you've got like recreational boats, and it's backing up against concrete seawalls or rock seawalls, and you just get that, like Jim said, it'll happen out in the ocean. You'll get that kind of just bathtub chop where it's just it's coming from everywhere. Like, there's no way to like kind of put your tail in it, put your nose. Yeah, exactly. Washing machine, and it's everywhere. And all of a sudden, one will get you and kind of throw you kind of crooked. And I think the biggest thing when you're in water like that is to just, one, like, if you guys watch YouTube a lot, Jeff Little, Jeff Little is a treasure to the kayaking industry, and like he goes through videos of like going out when you get a new boat and really stripping it down, going out with a paddle and you're in a solid PFD, not an inflatable, and go out there and learn the limits of it, learn what it feels like, learn how far you can take it. Like when he just did the video on the Coosa X, he leaned that boat so far over that water was running in over the gunnel, and he still brought himself back up with the paddle. It's just like learning that tipping point. And I think that's a lot of people don't spend enough time with their boats before they put everything on them and just go fishing. It's
right.
That'll help a lot.
Yeah, Jeff is actually trying to get Jeff lined up to do the Orion podcast here soon, because I feel like he would be an epic guest of massive proportions. Has anybody watched Jeff's Fishing with Joe Biden video?
Oh my God, no.
You need to go back, and it's a Joe Biden lure, number one. But the way he commentaried the whole YouTube video, if you're in that crowd and you have not watched that video, it is hands down amazing.
That's awesome. He's got such a great sense of humor too. Like, his delivery is just one of a kind.
Let's see if I can find it here. Fishing with Joe Biden. I know it's on there. I'll find it here and drop it in the comments. So why we're doing this, we're kind of getting close to this the last part of this podcast. So what I would like to do is go around the room. You guys thank the people that you need to thank, and tell them where to find you on the socials.
Okay. I'd like to thank. I'm on the dugout fishing team down in Marietta, Georgia, and also they've got an exclusive color. There's other dealers in the country that have exclusive colors, but ours is black. So we've got a shipment of black Coosa X's and black NARS available. And I've personally owned, back in the day, I've had a black big rig and black big rig FD and a black FD Coosa. But and I love, it's the coolest boat I ever had, and so it's just super excited to see those come in down there, and I can't wait to get a Coosa X. I'm gonna have one as a riverboat rigged out with a Newport on the back, but anyway, Dugout Bait and Tackle is a great bunch of people, and and they're passionate, and they all fish. And if you stop in down there, they're gonna know right where you're coming from. If you're a new person, they've got a pond. You can try out any boat they have, and then everybody there kayak fishes, and usually if you're down there, one of us team members is going to be hanging out. It's kind of like a barber shop among not just kayak fishermen, but the whole community around that area. Picasso Lures has been good to me for years. Shimano, G Loomis. You can find me on Facebook, Jim Ware. I have a YouTube page, River Goat Kayak Adventures, and I got a 2-week vacation coming up in a week, and I'm headed down to Florida. Hopefully, I'll get a lot of content. I'll be writing about it, and I'll have some videos. And that's it. I'll post a little bit on Instagram and some on. I'll do a stupid TikTok every now and then, but
they're great.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't wait to go this trip in Florida. I'm on a solo trip. I'm going down. Hopefully, I can get on a peacock bass. I'm gonna work my way north and hollered at Bart Schwab there, team member, and in St. Augustine. Hopefully, he'll have a free day. We can fish, relive a trip I did similar to this a few years ago, and he can fish a day or two with me. I'm gonna hopefully stop by and see Miss Jean, and just and one of the coolest I read an article one time about Ronnie Van Zant from Leonard Skinner, and he caught his personal best 12-pound bass in a lake called Lake Delancey. And I don't know if there's even a fish in it anymore, but I'm going to stop there and fish and listen to Leonard Skinner while I'm fishing probably. And just to say I fished on the same lake as Ronnie Van Zant and where he caught his big bass.
That's awesome.
So anyway, I can't wait. I'm pretty excited to go on this trip.
That is awesome. What about you, Vickie?
I want to thank you guys, Dustin, for sure, for giving me a chance to be with on the Jackson fishing team. All my followers. I go by the Adventures of General Hooligan on YouTube, Facebook, pretty much TikTok, all of them. Do put up a few videos on YouTube. Still learning how to edit, but yeah, it's been fun. I started doing them when I started doing the challenges, the KBF challenges. So that's mostly what I put up.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, to you folks at home, we'd like to thank you for watching. We'd like to thank you for being here. We'd like to thank you for hanging out in the comments tonight. Unfortunately, I can't find the video that I was wanting to share with everybody in the comments, but I will find it eventually. So with that being said, we will see you on the next one, the next Doc Talk, coming at you live on the 20th of this month. Sounds like we're going to have a bunch of Canadians on here, so we'll get the Canadian Goose sound out, and it'll be fun. But yeah, with that, we appreciate you watching. Check out all the new accessories and the kayaks at jacksonkayak.com. Pick yourself up an Orion cooler, bunch of swag. We got swag. Pick up the merch. As we were saying last night over and over, pick up the merch.
Bow hatches are coming.
Yep, hatch bins, multi-box, triple rod stagers, blah, blah, blah. We got all kinds of stuff. And merch. We got hats, limited edition Chad Brock sun visors are coming. Probably not.
Is it like these?
Yeah. Yeah, we got hats, we got shirts in stock right now. Big shout out to Z-Pro Lithium Batteries for all they're doing, helping us out here with the Orion podcast as well. Basco Fishing, bascofishing.com. Pick you up some swag. They got some autism awareness swag out right now. Pretty fresh stuff, so check them out. bascofishing.com. And we will see you.
Let me give you a real quick on the autism awareness thing.
Yes.
Just because that rang the bell. Last year, Missile Baits, who's one of my sponsors, John Cruz, He auctioned off a really cool deep diving crankbait that's painted with a puzzle pattern. It's just a handmade, really cool custom piece on a log and a little display case. I won that in the auction last year, so I'm teaming up this year with Brandon Mays, who's that bass fishing dude, who's the tallest bass fisherman in the world. And we're working on a couple of new little angles to where we can try and raise some money for autism awareness this coming month. So if you guys are interested in that, hit me up and keep an eye on my pages. And we're going to have some really cool like raffles and auctions coming up for autism awareness. So light it up blue.
There you go. There you have it. And as Michael Hayes says, good night, everybody.
Good night, Michael Hayes. Big
See you
buddy.
guys.